Viewer discretion is advised. Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Damian Burr, 13, lost his hand during a fireworks accident. He is seeking a prosthetic hand. Damian Burr hopes he can get a bionic hand in the future. Burr, who lives with his mom, says he was visiting his dad when he found a firework rolling out of a bag and onto the sidewalk. When he picked it up to ask his dad what it was, he says his dad used a lighter to see what sort of firework it was in the dark. The mortar firework exploded and Burr thought he had died. He said he can only see 2 fingers on his left hand. Doctors amputated Burr's hand, and the teen said he started thinking about bionic options. Jessica Brathfield, Burr's mother, says that prosthetics and other medical expenses are more than she can handle. Chicago. A father was killed in front of his children on the 4th of July in a tragic fireworks accident on Chicago's southwest side. Around 9:30 p.m. Tuesday, 42-year-old David Griffin was lighting fireworks in an alley of West 54th Street in the city's Gage Park neighborhood. His wife said he was with his young children at the time. When he went to check on a firework that didn't seem to be firing, it blew up in his face as it shot into the air, police and fire officials said. The fuse went off and it seemed like everything was going, and then the fuse sort of died and he stuck his head over it and it went off, said Daniel Sanez, witness. Griffin suffered serious injuries to his head and was transported to Holy Cross Hospital. He died about 20 minutes after the accident. No one else was hurt. His wife and other relatives returned to the home Wednesday morning, overcome with emotion. Fernando Sotelo, Griffin's upstairs neighbor and family friend, said he worked as a security guard and will be remembered as a good father who was always looking out for others. It's dangerous around here. When there would be drive-bys, he'd come out and protect us. He was protective over this neighborhood, Sotelo said. 2 other men were badly hurt in separate accidents involving fireworks over the holiday weekend. A man in his 30s suffered a critical injury on West Cortez Street. The injury was specific to his hand, but bad enough to be considered critical. A man in his 40s also badly injured his hand on Tuesday when a firework blew up as he was handling it on West Belmont Avenue. Toledo, Ohio. People living near Bauman and Prouty say it was a quiet afternoon when things quickly changed. I heard the loud explosion, said Jerome Patrick. I stood up. One of the kids was rolling on the ground. Toledo police say 3 kids, all under the age of 12, were walking through the area Monday when they found a firework lying on the ground. Investigators say the group lit the firework and it quickly exploded in a 10-year-old's hand. It's a real shame, said Patrick, who also called 911. Kids shouldn't play with firecrackers, especially if they don't have adult supervision. First responders say the child lost their hand in the explosion and was rushed to a nearby hospital. 2 other kids were treated for less serious injuries to their arms, hands, and face. Kids, especially 10, ain't got no reason to be playing with firecrackers, said Patrick. They're dangerous and possibly could have killed one of them. Firefighters say setting off fireworks is illegal in Ohio and laws are in place to help prevent accidents from happening. These are dangerous devices, said Private Sterling Ray with the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department. People think they have it under control until they don't. And again, we have serious injuries like this. With a month until the 4th of July, Ray says parents and neighbors should keep a watchful eye to make sure fireworks stay out of kids' hands. He even says fire and law enforcement will come out and properly dispose of unused or unsafe fireworks. If you find anything on the ground, you don't know what it is, you think it's fireworks, you don't know what you're getting into, said Ray. Leave it alone. Call for the police or fire. We'll come out and we'll take control of that. Investigators say at this point it's unclear whether any of those kids or their parents will face charges for this accident. Newark, California. A young East Bay man is facing the loss of several fingers after trying to light a mortar-type firework on the 4th of July. Newark police are investigating the circumstances that led to the horrific accident. This was not one of the safe and sane fireworks that the city allows. Safe and sane fireworks do not explode or go up in the air. Neighbors say the fireworks set off Tuesday night did both of those. You can still see char marks on the street and blood nearby. Neighbors say illegal fireworks made the community sound like a war zone on Tuesday night. Dante Baines watched the street show. It was almost done. All the fireworks were pretty much lit off. The kids were getting ready to go to bed, and then we just heard a loud boom. Just the loudest one of the night, he said. Baines didn't just hear, he actually felt that blast. My back was turned right here, and then it was so loud that we all felt what felt like a blast of air. It was that powerful. Everything shook, and that was it, he said. Newark police say the 18-year-old man tried to light a mortar-type firework in a canister, but the fuse was too short. He suffered horrific injuries. It was unusually calm, actually. No one was screaming or running around. They were just trying to comfort him. They put a tourniquet on his arm using a belt and wrapped his hand in some towels, Baines said. Baines tried to keep neighbors from crowding too closely. I believe he was in shock. He kept saying, "What did I do? What did I do?" Something along those lines, he said. The young man was transported to Eden Hospital. Police say he is likely to lose fingers on his left hand. Baines also saw cuts on his right hand and burns covering his stomach. It was a sad way to end the night. That was a good day, Baines said. Fire officials say that the man's injuries were life-threatening, so this is just one more reminder to leave fireworks to the experts. Euclid, Ohio. A Euclid fire captain says it's still difficult to think about the July 3, 2016 fireworks accident that could have cost him his life. Right after it happened, I remember thinking to myself that I am going to die and I don't even know where I am or what happened, said Fire Captain Jay Northrop. Northrop, who has spent the last 25 years rescuing and helping others, suddenly found himself in need of assistance. We were having a 4th of July party and, like I did in the past, I went behind our shed to set off the fireworks, Northrop explained. I had the kids up front by the garage to make sure no one would get hurt, never thinking it would be me instead. Northrop says he was getting ready to set off the final fireworks of the night when a couple didn't go off. He decided to take a closer look. As I peeled the paper, I was about 12 inches away from the tube, and the tube hit me right in the face, Northrop explained. He said at first he could feel liquid pouring from his eye but couldn't see anything around him. I got on my hands and knees, Northrop recalled. I heard one of my buddies yelling at me, asking if I was okay. I just got hit in the face with a mortar. I'm sure I'm not good. I said no, and you should probably go get my wife. His wife, an emergency room nurse, took him to Metro Health Medical Center in Cleveland. The front of the eye suffered what we call a contusion that deformed the whole front of the eye, said Dr. Thomas Steinman of Metro Health. Dr. Steinman said it took time and several medical procedures to help Northrop heal. Northrop says he believes if it wasn't for the medical care he received from Dr. Steinman and the staff at Metro Health, he would have lost the vision in his eye. He says he is also extremely thankful to his wife, his family and friends, and fellow firefighters. While it's difficult for Northrop to talk about the incident, he says he believes it's important to let others know that what happened to him can happen to anyone. It's not worth it, Northrop said. Go to the professional fireworks shows. Do not think it won't happen to you. I know I am going to get a lot of razzing at the firehouse, and I am more than willing to subject myself to any and all of it, as long as I can keep one person from having to go through what I did. Two lives changed forever, all in an instant this 4th of July holiday, following 2 separate fireworks accidents in 2 days in Flomanton. Both victims are recovering at the burn center at USA Medical Center with severe injuries to their hands. The first happened Monday, July 3rd, off Wolf Log Road. That incident, a 911 call. A male in his 40s was shooting fireworks and had part of his hand blown off, said Flomanton Police Chief Brian Davis. When our officer actually arrived on the scene with fire, they were trying to get his bleeding under control. Then he was immediately transported and life flight was called. We've learned the victim's name is Grady Barnes. He's in stable condition at USA Medical Center. Then, Tuesday night, shortly after 8 o'clock, a second tragedy was called in on La Sala Lane. A 17-year-old Flomanton High School baseball player also received severe injuries to one of his hands from fireworks. That is actually one of my fireman's sons, and he was a junior fireman with me. Whenever it's something like that, it hits close to home, said Chief Steve Stanton, Flomanton Fire Department. The teen is also recovering at USA Medical Center. Chief Stanton says he's only responded to 1 fireworks-related incident in 40 years, and to have 2 in 2 days is very rare. While it has people in this small town talking, officials hope it serves as a serious warning to be extremely careful when dealing with holiday explosives. If anybody has learned anything from this, please don't hold these things in your hand. I'm not sure that's what happened in these cases, but no matter what it is, be careful, because something that is built can always go wrong, said Chief Davis. Something that was supposed to be a fun time went to a tragic event they'll never forget, and their family will never forget. I've never liked them because I know how dangerous they are. You've got to treat them with care if you are going to use them. And I'm sure both of these were accidents, and neither one of them meant for it to happen, but you just have to be careful when you do something like this, said Chief Stanton. Both incidents remain under investigation. Update. A local man is reliving the moment he lost part of his hand in a fireworks accident. A teenager was also injured in a separate fireworks accident the next day. Both incidents were at 4th of July celebrations in Flomanton. They were a day apart and the locations weren't far from each other. Both victims were rushed to USA Medical Center. Barnes' pinky finger is the only one still intact. Most of his ring finger was blown off by the fireworks and the rest are completely gone. It almost feels like an electric shock, said 44-year-old Grady Barnes, the first accident victim. It's kind of a throbbing pain. I still feel where my fingers are supposed to be. Barnes said there's not much left underneath his bandages. The doctor cleaned it up and basically took off what he knew wouldn't make it, which left me with my pinky finger on my right hand, and that's about it. Barnes did not want to go into detail about what led up to the accident, but he says it happened fast and the pain was intense. Immediately after the explosion, I knew I was in bad shape. I looked down and my fingers were missing. Part of my hand was missing. It was real bad. It was a throbbing pain. You could see every heartbeat and blood was spurting out, said Barnes. I tried not to pass out and tried to stay conscious. Luckily, his left hand stayed intact but was still severely burned. His chest and face are also covered with burns, but Barnes says he is thankful it wasn't much worse. The miracle in this is that our eyes weren't hurt at all. The Lord put his hands over our eyes. He did for me on Monday the 3rd, and he did the same thing for my little brother on Tuesday night. The little brother he's talking about is not his brother by blood. It's 16-year-old Hunter White, who also suffered similar injuries from fireworks the next day. Barnes and White had never met until they were recovering next to each other at USA Medical Center. When I saw him for the first time, he became a little brother, said Barnes. We are going to get through this. I don't know if I need him or if he needs me, but that's what we're going to do. White is a Flomanton High School baseball player. Family and friends say he is a bright young man who turns 17 next week. He's got a great reputation. He's a good sports player, said Barnes. His injuries are very similar to mine. His family has a very big decision to make with his injuries. He's going to be a senior in high school. His future plans may change now, but he's taking it very well. Despite these horrific accidents, both men seem to be in good spirits and ready to move forward. All the thoughts and prayers are pretty much needed, said Barnes. The Lord doesn't put nothing on you that you can't handle. Barnes was released from the hospital Friday morning. White is still there with at least one more surgery to go.